Hi, this is Eternal King here bringing you another LOR video today. So I want to talk about a subject that's actually not often discussed in the context of LOR, and that is efficient climbing. So talking about efficient climbing in terms of hitting Masters ranked on any given season. Essentially, what it means is that you need to hit Masters before anybody else. Because again, assuming that you're playing decks with a positive win rate, which again, there are many decks with a positive win rate in LOR, you will be winning 51% of games at the very least, even if you are a bad player. Take this 53% win rate deck, Jinx deck, right? So you're playing standard, you're grinding out, you've got this kind of drop spammy shell that you're playing in standard, and it's a Jinx deck. It wins 53% of games, which means that you are guaranteed to hit Masters playing this deck if you simply play enough games over enough time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're better than a lot of the other Masters players because you've simply invested more time. Full-time streamers, people like Grappler, people like Sunny, they play the game for months and months and months. They play the game like it's a full-time job. So they're, them hitting Masters ranked is essentially guaranteed. It will happen as an inevitability because it's simply win rate, it's kind of divided by time. Over a course of many weeks, that's an inevitability they will hit Masters. The only true indication of a top Masters player, people like Majin Bay, is their ability to hit Masters in a very small amount of time. And the reason why that's relevant is because if you go to leaderboards and you actually look at what people's, current standing is, whether it is standard ladder or eternal ladder, the only way to know properly is if you're gonna, the only way to hit top 100 coming straight out of Masters is to do it in an exceptionally short amount of time. There's only two ways to hit top 100 in Masters in LOR. The first one is you get there before everyone else, and the second one is you grind longer than everyone else. Now, the thing about me is I don't particularly enjoy ladder grinding. I don't want to sit there and grind points in Masters ranked to top 100 based on pure time investment, because that's a slog. That's boring. Who wants to do that? I play so many games. I just beat Wulong Fallen Dynasty. I love Souls games. I love RPGs. I love a million different types of games. I love difficulty in all its forms and challenges. So why would I spend an inordinate amount of time grinding ladder in one card game? That sounds unhealthy. When I can simply reach a similar rank by getting to Masters faster than everyone else. So again, in the future, I will try to make a point of screenshotting ladder, but again, even just looking at timestamps for when ladder gets released, for something like Eternal, and then the person posting their rise to Masters gives you a pretty good idea of how efficient their climb was, because at the end of the day it is a matter of time investment. So the person who gets to Masters in a single weekend is going to be far more efficient with their climb and their win rate, likely something like 60-70%, versus the person that takes 4 weeks to reach Masters with a win rate that is probably closer to 51-53%. That's just common sense. And so again, it's not something that the community talks much about because we don't want to master shame people in terms of how long it takes them to get there, because that would be really unhealthy. But it is a thing. One person's climb to Masters isn't the same as another, and I've always had a reputation from the early days to climbing very efficiently and very fast compared to your average player. And it is just a matter of me being, one of the best players in Eternal, objectively speaking, that I can just get to, ladder unlocks, and I'm there in 2 weekends worth of play, 1 weekend worth of play. pretty much every single season, because if it took me any longer than that, I simply wouldn't do it. That's the honest truth. But yeah, again, just a little kind of discussion about like what it means to climb efficiently. So talking about like decks that climb efficiently in Eternal, Meta Ziggs Poppy, 60% win rate. All I have to do is pilot it slightly better than the average player to win more games and climb more efficiently than the average win rate for the deck, which again, I think I'm very capable of doing and have proven that I can do with this deck over time. And again, there's countless other decks that are just as powerful in the Eternal format that allow you to climb just as efficiently. As, again, you want to talk about Bandletree. Bandletree is about, 60% win rate right now. Auction Eddy is a 60% win rate, right now. Which means that if you're playing Auction Eddy on ladder, which again isn't active right now, but when the next season opens up, if you want to start day one with Auction Eddy, you should, if you're playing Monday through Sunday, you should be able to hit Masters in a single week of play. If you're playing weekends only, it should only be about 2 weekends of play. And that's assuming like, stone to Masters. Assuming you're starting in Plat, you can basically do it in a single weekend of play in LOR. And that's like casual play, not like unhealthy Cheetos eating play. So that's like a little story about like what it means to climb efficiently in LOR. It's not a thing that the community talks about because we don't want to master shame other players. If it takes them 2 months to hit Masters one season, we don't want to make fun of them for that, right? But it is a thing. Not all Masters players are equal in terms of their ability to climb efficiently. Majin Bey being an example of a standard player who can, climb in, very short periods of time, and did so easily and often did so with off-meta decks. So his mastery of the game was higher than other players, just objectively speaking. And the same thing could be said about me in Eternal, where my win rates are ridiculously high and my climbing efficiency and time efficiency is ridiculously high. For this format specifically. Standard, I'm terrible. Standard, I don't play at all because I just never have had an interest. And I find that the metas are much more restrictive in Standard. In Eternal, I can basically play whatever I want and just absolutely run the floor with people. Because they can't take the meta and squish it between their hands to the point where you can only play a few set number of decks. Eternal is wide open. You can play whatever the hell you want. I can play, Battle Fury Darius with, the new Arena's Greatest card. And, like, I can pilot this deck to the point of it being, a pretty substantially decent aggro list that I could take on ladder. And like, I would hit Diamond with this in a heartbeat. And then probably take something else to Masters. But, like, my point being that an efficient climber, a good player, can basically play anything to Diamond and then, basically climb to Masters in a weekend from there. It's again, not something we talk about, but it is a thing. Efficient climbing versus obsessive climbing over time. I'm a full-time streamer. I play this game 4 weeks a month, and now I hit Masters after 4 weeks. Like, that's highly inefficient. The amount of games they must have lost over the course of an entire month of play to hit Masters that slowly is mind-boggling to me. Like, of course, now they're doing a lot of it for the sake of content, so that's part of it, is they're playing bad decks for content. This is the best ever, Lux Illuminated deck. It's like, no, it's not. There is no best ever Lux Illuminated deck. Lux Illuminated wins, 51% of games. If you climbed with Lux Illuminated, in the best deck possible, your climb would be highly inefficient. It would be slow as molasses, and that's just me telling you the truth. Like, that's numbers. So yeah, an inefficient climb would be playing something like Lux Illuminated. It might take you an entire month of playing Lux Illuminated to hit Masters. It would take me, a single weekend of playing Ziggs Poppy to hit Masters. And that's, again, you just have to check the video dates for when Eternal Ladder unlocks versus when I'm posting my Masters emblem, and you'll see that it's very short amount of time, faster than any other streamer out there. All right, so again, that's just a little talk about the differences between climbers. Swim, you know, good old Swim. He also used to climb before anyone else. He was a very fast and efficient climber. He used to be the authority on climbing, and then it was Majin Bey after that. And even if I just capture like 80% of what they were capable of, that's still 80% more than most streamers who make decks. This is Eternal King, signing out.